Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of Star Flag Media. Today is December 12th, 2023, and it is 6:08 p.m. as of recording. Just checking in at the beginning of the week. I know you just hopefully got to see the last episode of Drunken Idiots with myself and Chris. We've got uh, nice future episodes on hand and ready to go, and hopefully coming up a nice little Christmas episode for you all. In the meantime, I'm just checking in today because, in gaming news, it's been announced by the Entertainment Software Association that E3 is officially over. We all know over the last few years, E3 has kind of been, you know, neither here nor there, especially after what happened with COVID and um, restrictions when it came to gatherings and things like that. It kind of essentially was already on the decline, but that really put that final nail in the coffin for E3. Um, so I'm just gonna read off what our friends over at Go Nintendo here have said. It says, for decades now, E3 has been one of the biggest events in the gaming industry that everyone looked forward to. Developers and publishers worked all year to put together show-stopping announcements, and fans eagerly awaited to attend the event just to see what the next big games were. Now all of that has officially come to an end as E3 is now over. While E3 has been on live support for a few years now, today the plug has officially been pulled. The Entertainment Software Association took to social media to confirm that E3 is now riding off into the sunset, leaving a massive void in the gaming industry. The comment from ESA is as follows. It says, after more than 2 decades of hosting an event that has served as a central showcase for the US and global video game industry, the Entertainment Software Association has decided to bring E3 to a close. ESA remains focused on advocating for ESA member companies and the industry who fuel positive culture and economic impact every day. Um, this is one of those, like I said, final nails in the coffin when it came to one of those pandemic casualties, be it mom and pop shops, restaurants, things like that. But when it came to large gatherings, E3 was in need of um, developers, publishers, and anything that was in the entertainment software industry to just kind of show up for this event. And the beginning of the end for E3 was Nintendo. Nintendo started doing the Nintendo Direct and showing that now they can no longer have to rely on an unpredictable show that something could go very wrong. And but that was also kind of some of the charm that E3 had when they did live presentations. It's like, okay, you might get some killer game announcements, but also there could be some real big goof ups or really cringy moments. I remember years ago when Jamie Kennedy hosted one of the events. I think it was for Ubisoft, and it was just really, really uh, poor comedy, and he just didn't quite understand what the gaming industry was about, and it created these moments where you were just like, "What's going on?" It was like a train wreck. And then we had like Nintendo doing the terrible Wii Music presentation that was just awful. And then we had moments also where like we had Microsoft uh, going off the rails and talking about Xbox One's connectivity and how it needed to always be online and the sharing, and it was all just unpredictable but live. But then we also had some killer moments, that you can look back on fondly. I remember, this is right before broadband internet was kind of really going through and penetrating people's homes and the market in general. You still would go to Funkoland or your local GameStop and get a copy of the E3 presentation on DVD if you wanted to see it. And they would have like the big three on there, so you would get Nintendo, Microsoft, at the time maybe even Sega was on the discs, and you could watch the presentations at home on DVD. You would have to wait till gaming magazines published their articles on the big announcements, things like that. But once we started live streaming these events, and once we were able to go on and see, for example, when Nintendo first announced the GameCube and they showed off that Zelda tech demo, and everybody just rose up and started cheering. And then later on to see the disappointment when Wind Waker came out, and then to see that flip completely around when Miyamoto came out and they announced Twilight Princess and the crowd reaction at that. I mean, those were moments that you're just not gonna get back, and we're not ever gonna see again. You'll be able to see, live streamers' reactions. You'll see our reactions on YouTube, things like that, when it happens live. But it's not the same as hearing, you know, uh, an entire theater of media and reporters and fans all reacting live to the big announcements. Um, we're not gonna have those moments where here's the next console and they reveal the Nintendo DS or they revealed the next PlayStation with remember when the PlayStation 3 debuted and they showed off the controller for that and it looked like a boomerang and everybody lost their minds. Like that was one of those moments that we just doesn't seem like we're really going to get back. um, so it's bittersweet, really. E3 is one of those things that you, as an older gamer, might look back on fondly. I will certainly do so. And then you know people who have been gaming for lesser time may not realize how big E3 was. Every June or July when we were looking forward to those big summer announcements to see what was coming up. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, once Nintendo decided to do directs, and they got out of the business of doing these live demos, live presentations, and they realized we could just put together a nice 1 hour long video package that's very controlled, very well edited. We can decide exactly how these demos are gonna look, and then we'll just host a Nintendo Treehouse event afterwards, and live stream something that's polished and easy to control. Uh, it was kind of the beginning of the end, and now everybody else followed suit. We have State of Play with Sony and Microsoft's video events, and that's the future of presentations going forward. um, I mean, hell, last week we had the Video Game Awards, and it seemed like that's where we're gonna get cool trailers going forward at a special event, maybe all grouped together from different developers and different uh, entities in the gaming world. If you want to see these kind of big reveals happen, you might have to wait for the VGAs now, in late November, so that you can get this cool experience of, wow, look at that cool trailer that just debuted. So shout out to Jeff Keighley for kind of filling in with that void of hey, we still have somewhere we can look to for surprise reveals and things like that. So hopefully the Video Game Awards kind of picks up that mantle, and we don't lose the experience outright that we used to get with E3. But it's just never gonna quite be the same. I'm really curious if anybody out there has, like, their own particular moments where they remembered E3 fondly and they were like, wow, this is something that I loved. What was it when Reggie would get on stage, Reggie Fils-Aimé, and say something like "My body is ready"? My favorite comment of his also came during E3, when they introduced. I believe it was like after a year of or a few months of Nintendo DS sales. And Reggie gets on stage and he announces how great the DS is performing and selling. And this is after, the Game Boy Micro didn't do all that hot, and the GameCube was on the tail end of its life. So Nintendo needed a big win, and the DS was that machine that was kind of at the forefront. And I remember him going on stage and saying, "A lot of you are gonna say, well, Sony's PlayStation Portable isn't on the market yet, and you know they didn't get there." And his response to that, well, that's Sony's problem, not mine. We said we were gonna get there. We got there when we said we were, and they didn't. And it was one of those moments where you realize this guy is a different type of. I think at that time he was vice president of marketing. Wasn't even president of Nintendo yet. This guy's different. He was looking to turn Nintendo's image around from, you know, the third choice during the GameCube era to the forefront. And he kind of did that. I mean, he took, you know, Nintendo DS, and the Wii was right underneath, you know, his marketing. And you know, before that, Reggie was, I think, the guy that marketed Bigfoot Pizza for Domino's or Pizza Hut, one or the other. So I digress. You know, all of that is just to say, E3, 20 years of fond memories, more than 20 years, and God, man, I'm gonna miss watching those specials and those presentations, and looking for what my favorite developer might be making next, to see, you know, what Sega will be working on. You know, we're definitely not gonna be seeing the next Sonic Frontiers trailer, you know, at E3. So it's kind of a sad moment. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys are keeping in touch with what's going on here at the channel. Make sure to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoy what you're seeing. Share that the videos if possible. That really helps out a lot. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to see if this is something you guys want more of. But yeah, until next time, you know, leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. What's your favorite E3 moment? Will you miss it, or are you happy that it's gone and you prefer, you know, video game awards, for example, or some other type of, you know, direct, or you know, console video manufacturers, like, you know, State of Play or something like that. But yeah, it's an end of an era, and so long to Electronics Software Association's E3. It's gonna be missed in my book. And as always, thank you guys for joining, and see you on the flip side.